Hey everybody, today's May 19th, and today I want to talk about the price of Bitcoin. We're going to talk about the crash that just happened over the last 24 hours, and we're going to talk about whether this is the end of this bull market and whether we're going to continue down lower or whether this is the bottom and we can continue up higher. Before we begin, please read the disclaimer, and you can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so throughout this whole run, which pretty much started in October of last year, we had this incredible rally, right? And if you notice, I want you to notice two things, two indicators, which is this moving average, right? The silver line over here. This is our 50-day simple moving average. This is our short-term moving average. Now, throughout this entire rally, the price has held above, or when it came down, it found strong support and it bounced strong off, right? So this was in late January, which was our first major correction of this year. Strong bounce after hitting this short-term moving average. Then we had another bounce in March, and we had a strong bounce off there. Unfortunately, in April, we failed to hold. Then we came down below, but we found support on our midterm moving average, which is this gold line. This is our 100-day simple moving average, and we found support off here, and we bounced up higher. Unfortunately, because we failed to hold this, we flipped this from support to resistance, and we were unfortunately unable to hold this as support, and we ended up collapsing lower, right? So now we are on our long-term moving average, which is our 200-day simple moving average, this blue line. Now this is an interesting line and a very important line, right? I talked about how in our previous bull market, back in 2015 to 2017, right? This entire rally from late 2015 to 2017, our 200-day simple moving average, this blue line I just talked about, the price never closed below that line, right? We did penetrate that line one time here in 2016, right? After we had this huge crash down, but we ended up closing above. So we never closed below, we just wicked down below, right? And this entire run up, we never closed below. So I talked about in our last video how it's really important that we stay above this blue line, right? The 200-day simple moving average, which not only in crypto is it an important line for traders, but also in the stock market. A lot of institutions, a lot of hedge funds, they look at the 200-day simple moving average, and when the price goes below, that tends to trigger like sell signals, right? So the fact is, we've plunged pretty hard after failing to hold these moving averages, but for now, we've had a strong wick above this line right here, right? So this line, as long as we close above this line, I'm still hopeful that Bitcoin can avoid a bear market, because right now the trend has changed, right? This entire trend, we've made higher lows and higher highs, but I talked about how this sideways price action, we want to see this hold, right? I talked about how this could potentially be a reaccumulation period, but unfortunately we broke below the channel, which coincidentally is basically bordered in this Fibonacci channel, which I'll talk about after I talk about the moving averages. But for now, we seem to be respecting the 200-day, right? So we're coming up above and holding above this line. And I think as long as we remain above this line, we still have hope that we can continue our bull market. If we close below this line, which is something we haven't done since maybe 2013, I think that the probability of Bitcoin going into a bear market is a lot higher, because if you look at the price from the high of 60,000 all the way now, we've collapsed more than 50%, right? This is a 50%. This is like bear market price action. So we really need to close above this long-term moving average, right? But the fact that we've come down and wicked up, that shows a lot of strong buying support, right? A lot of buyers are coming in, and there's a lot more momentum that could be shifting to the upside. So that's a good sign. But for now, we want to see more follow through to the upside, not just short-term price action. We want to see this actually bottom out and continue up higher, right? And the second thing I want to look at is the Fibonacci levels, right? I also talked about Fibonacci levels, which are these multicolored lines. These levels tend to act as strong support and resistance level. Notice how this wick came down here, just barely penetrated this, and then strongly pushed back up, right? So buyer stepped in hard over here and basically pushed the price up. Why? Because back here, we tested this Fibonacci level already, right? And not only that, but we had a confluence of our Fibonacci and the support level coming in at the same time, right? The 50-day, the silver line, meeting this Fibonacci level. When we had a correction in January, we've turned this Fibonacci level into strong support and pushed up higher, right? So it's no coincidence that the price is bouncing off this same level, right? Similarly, over the last couple months, we found support along 47,000, which is here, here, and over here. Or we tried to find support over here. And I talked about how it was important that we held this level. Otherwise, we can come down hard, right? Because we held over here and over here. So the more times we test this support, eventually if we break it, it'll come down pretty hard, right? Just like once we failed to hold this moving average, we came down pretty hard. Same thing over here. So unfortunately, we failed to hold, and so we came down lower. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons on a technical level why we came down pretty hard. Now let's look at the fundamentals, right? There are many catalysts that triggered the drop. So obviously it's really bad. This is 24 hours, the last 24 hours, $8 billion in liquidation, right? The entire crypto market is pretty much red. It's like a sea of red, right? So the question is why. We looked at the technicals, but let's look at some of the fundamentals, right? We talked about how important Elon Musk has been in the price of Bitcoin in the crypto markets. When Elon Musk tweeted that he was accepting Bitcoin as payment for Tesla, we saw a huge green candle, right? So what we've done is basically retrace this entire move up since before Elon Musk to the point where Elon Musk has basically announced the Tesla movement, right? Now the thing is, I want people to know that like we don't need Elon Musk to push Bitcoin higher, right? This entire move, all the way up to all the way up to roughly 40,000. This entire move was without Elon. Elon Musk came into the picture around here, right, where he said, "Oh man, I might accept Bitcoin," and then finally, when he actually did announce that he was accepting Bitcoin for Tesla to buy Tesla cars, we had this huge move up. So all we're doing is really just retracing this entire movement to pre-Elon announcement, right? So it's not really that bad of it, right? Because especially now that we've seen strong buying support create this wick up, right? We're coming up. I do think that we will survive and we will go up higher. And it's interesting because Elon, he got into a verbal sparring war over the weekend, which is another reason why the price was starting to slump, right? Because we were trying to find strong support here, and we had this nice wick down green candle, and I was hopeful that we would go up higher. Unfortunately, a lot of things happened over the last 3 days that caused the price to come down hard. One of them was Elon Musk got into a argument with people on Twitter, and somebody talked about how Elon might sell, and he said indeed, and that triggered a lot of rumors that perhaps Tesla was going to sell their Bitcoin. Of course, Elon said, to clarify speculation, Tesla has not sold any Bitcoin, right? However, that wasn't enough to keep the market from going down, because the next day, China basically said they were banning Bitcoin again or something like that. But this is something they've been saying for like the last 8 years, right? China has banned Bitcoin like 100 times, and every time some news comes out of China banning Bitcoin, we see the price come down in the short term, right? We see the price come down in the short term, but usually in the long term, or not usually, all the time, Bitcoin eventually recovers, right? So so those are the major catalysts, right? Elon and China. But just today, a couple hours ago, Elon Musk basically said that, or he didn't say, but he implied that he's still holding, right? Tesla has diamond hands. So there was another tweet here somewhere. Anyways, yeah. So for now, we can assume that Elon probably has not sold any of his bitcoins on Tesla's balance sheet that they bought. Just a reminder, they bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin back in, I believe, January or February. But his latest tweet with the diamond hands, which refers to like not selling, like holding strong, right? He's basically implying that he hasn't sold any Bitcoin yet. But like I said in my last video, I don't know if I can trust Elon, right? We don't know if he's going to sell in the future, right? We don't know, but for now, it's helping the markets stabilize a little bit, right? And so yeah, that's the fundamentals. That's the news. The technicals, I want us to hold above. Like I just said, I want us to hold above this line because I showed you in the previous chart that we've never broke below this line in 2017 bull market. So I want us to hold at least this 200-day simple moving average line. And then our next major resistance level is going to be this Fibonacci level at 47,000. And this is going to be very difficult in my opinion because we've held support for so long, for a couple months. But the fact that we broke below, I believe this is going to be strong resistance. So we might see the price move around for a while before eventually breaking up higher. However, what I want to see this I want to see us at least hold the blue line, which is a 200-day simple moving average, right? Because this is our long-term support level, and I just think that if we're not able to hold this, the more we move along this line, I think eventually we'll collapse below, and it'll be undeniable. We'll be in a bear market. So right now, Bitcoin is at the edge of bear market territory. Like we're literally skating on thin ice right now, and Bitcoin really needs more buyers to come in and push the price up higher. Now, the good news is that when it comes to technical indicators, we're extremely oversold right now, right? I mean, let's just look at the fear indicator, right? Fear greed indicator, we're at 23, which we look at right now here, right? This is fear greed indicator since 2018. We're basically at levels very close to March of last year, which is the pandemic, and also close to the bear market bottom in late 2018, right? So we're basically 52-week high, 52-week low, right? We're very low, very lots of selling pressure, a lot of fear, right? Very oversold. And let's look at our indicators. Obviously, MACD down a lot, right? We talked about in previous videos how we've been in a downtrend actually since February, and I wanted the price to come up. I wanted the price to come up, of Bitcoin to come up, so we can push the oscillator higher and shift the momentum from selling into buying. Unfortunately, the momentum has been going down while the price is going up, so bearish divergence, right? So on a technical level, it shouldn't be a surprise that we're coming down. RSI, we're below 30, which is extremely, or it's oversold, right? But we're going beyond 30 right now, so we're very oversold. Also, another thing is that we were also in a downtrend for a long time. And in previous videos, I talked about how I wanted the buying momentum to come in and push the price higher, so that we can shift this trend higher and go up and have the price go up higher, right? Unfortunately, we kept going down, so obviously this just gave benefit to the sellers to push the price down lower. But let's look at the historical RSI, right? Historically speaking, we haven't been this oversold, right? This is the RSI right now, relative strength index, right? We haven't been this oversold since the pandemic, right? And the pandemic, obviously, in retrospect, was a good time to buy. And also, other times we've been oversold was in mid-2019, but also December 2018, right? This was the bear market bottom for our last bear market. So we're oversold right now, and this is very rare. Like the last time this happened was over a year ago, right? It's very rare that we get oversold signals, right? We tend to get a lot more overbought signals than oversold signals. So overall, this could be a good sign that Bitcoin is near or has already bottomed. So and obviously we're still holding above the 200 days simple moving average as we speak. So those are two, and that's another. So the fear greed index being very low, and our oscillators being oversold, it's a good indicator that at least in the short term we might find support, that this dump could be over at least in the short term, right? I'm not saying that this is the bottom, but I do think the probability of this going down lower is a lot lower than it going higher. I do think that we are probably near the bottom, right? Because this is capitulation. Look at this volume, strong selling volume, right? Usually when we have this much volume, a lot of the weak hands already been shaken out. Like all the leverage traders have been pushed out, right? Look at this, 8 billion liquidations. A lot of this in the futures market, right? People who are leveraged, they just got shaken out of their position. Some people have their accounts destroyed, right? It's really sad, but that's sometimes the reality of trading, especially in a volatile assets, crypto. Now let's look at other indicators that we might be near a bottom. So of course the dollar continues to go down, and like I said in previous videos, when the dollar comes down, Bitcoin usually goes up, right? Like in 2017, when the dollar was in a downtrend, Bitcoin was in an uptrend. In 2013, when the dollar was either sideways or in a downtrend, right, had very little strength, Bitcoin was in an uptrend. So and in the years like 2014 here and 2018 over here, when the dollar was in an uptrend, Bitcoin was in a downtrend. So it seems like we're testing multi-year support floor over here, right? If we break below this floor, that could give more strength for Bitcoin to go up a lot higher, right? Because a weaker dollar, people want to diversify into assets that are pegged to the dollar, like cryptocurrencies or stocks or real estate. So we're seeing the price of like real estate go up, right, and stuff like that, because people don't want to hold the dollar if it's going down. They want assets that will rise with inflation or even outperform inflation right now. So another reason also why I forgot to mention this, why crypto is going down, is that the stock market has been coming down, right? And I said this in a previous video, and I'll just summarize it briefly, that Bitcoin does follow the market, especially the NASDAQ, right? Because the more that institutions get involved with cryptocurrencies, the more they're going to treat it like another stock, right? So when the market comes down, they want to risk off, and that's going to include Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a risk-on asset, okay? So that's why we saw Bitcoin crash in 2020 during the pandemic, because same thing, the reason why it's crashing now, because the stock market crashed, and people, when they want to sell, they're going to sell everything. They're not just going to hold Bitcoin because they think it's like going to hedge against, against the market crashing. The same thing with gold. We saw gold crash, right? Gold crashed during the pandemic as well, right? Nothing was safe during the pandemic. So that's another reason why the stock market coming down. But the stock market is starting to bounce, and I'm not going to go over it too much because this is not a stock market video, but right now, if you look really quickly, our moving averages tend to act as strong support. So the market, in my opinion, we're just coming down to retest this support one more time before we go up higher. So if the market recovers and goes up higher, I expect Bitcoin to also find strength going up higher. So just another indicator that Bitcoin could be near the bottom right now. And I want to end this video talking about different indicators, right, that we explored previously on other videos. So pi cycle top indicator, it does look like this is coming true now. But something interesting is that this looks very similar to 2013, right? Because look, in 2013 we also had two tops in the same year, right, and two crosses. Now this drop, and funny thing is, it actually happened around the same time. In April we had the peak. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? We peaked around April. So, and this correction was more than 50%, right? And right now what we're seeing is a correction. I just showed you. We have a correction of 50% from this top of around 60,000, right? 50% correction. Now, let's go. I want to go all the way. Back to 2013, right? So back in 2013, we saw this huge spike up, and then we saw correction in the mid-year before we continued up higher to our high point in late 2013. And just look at this correction, right? This was like 80% correction, so it was way worse than it is now. But I think that we might be seeing something similar, right? Where we see a mid-cycle peak correction, and then mid-cycle peak and then correction, and then another push higher beyond our peak, right? And I think we might be seeing something similar, because it doesn't seem like, because I was there when Bitcoin peaked in 2013, and there was a lot of people following in, right? A lot of people, but right now, Bitcoin does seem like it's following similar sentiment, where there's not a lot of people like rushing in to buy Bitcoin, like like people who didn't invest earlier, like your mom or your dad and stuff like that. So I do think that there is a strong possibility that even though we just had a 50% drawdown, this could recover and continue higher and peak a lot. And we talked about how I do think Bitcoin can go above $100,000 by the end of this year, right? So it's possible that in retrospect, this could have been just something very similar to 2013, where we had a mid-year top correction and a push up higher, right? We might see something similar, right? Mid-tier top correction and then go up higher. So that's what I'm aiming for, or what I think will likely happen. And I think a lot of this is just the fact that Bitcoin went up a lot higher than most people expected, a lot sooner, right? For me, I personally thought Bitcoin would reach these levels, like 60,000, a lot later. Like I thought we were going to do something like this, right? Reach it a lot later. But I think Bitcoin got a little ahead of itself, and that's why we're seeing a bit of a correction. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Shake out some of the weak hands, push up higher, and then go to 100,000 and beyond, right? And I just want to end this video looking at different indicators to show you why I still think Bitcoin has a chance of going a lot higher, and then this might not be the end of this market. Like, I don't think we're necessarily going to plunge into a bear market just because we had a short-term pullback or correction. And of course, one of the reasons is the pi cycle top indicator, right? I believe right now what we're seeing is very similar to mid-2013, and we might see a second cross later this year. If we look at other indicators, right? 2-year multiplier. Look at this chart, right? In the last times when we, before we enter a bear market, we always went above this orange line, and we went into overbought territory, which is when the area below the price becomes shaded in red, right? And shaded green, when we go below this green line, is usually a time to buy. Now, this happened in April and in December of 2013, and it's also happened in 2017. Now, right now, we haven't even like penetrated that line. We're still below that line. So it's possible that Bitcoin can still go a lot higher, right? Because it looks nothing like these. It looks nothing like these oversold signals, right? When it became shaded, we haven't even broke above, so there's still a lot. And keep in mind that like it seems like Bitcoin hit this line and then it's acted up as a temporary ceiling, and we were unable to break above. But as we continue to go sideways or even down, this line continues to move higher, and this is going to give us a higher ceiling for when Bitcoin recovers and goes up higher. And not only that, but it'll give us a higher point at which Bitcoin will eventually cross this line and go up to overbought territory. And so, so these overbought levels, Bitcoin hasn't even gotten to that levels yet. So I'm optimistic that Bitcoin can go up a lot higher, right? Pull-out multiplier. Wait, every time this signal overbought territory, this spiked higher, right? Even beyond this shaded red area, these in 2013, but into shaded red area in 2017. We haven't even touched that shaded area. In fact, we're going down now into similar levels where we were in the correction in 2017, right, and 2013. So we're in that similar level, and so it's just, to me, it's just so much more upside, right? Same thing with the golden ratio multiplier. This signaled overbought levels when we hit this dotted line, right? We hit the dotted line. We haven't even hit that level yet. We're still, we peaked on this purple line, and now we've rolled over and touched the green line, right? If we look at the green line in previous market cycles, this was near the July, which is the summer correction of 2017. And the green line, coincidentally, is also the bottom of the 2013 mid-cycle correction bottom before we went up to new all-time highs, right? And this was like $72 all the way up to $1,000 by the end of 2013. So the fact that we're also touching this green line, higher probability that we have bottomed and we have all this room, all this upside, right? Because remember, as Bitcoin goes sideways, these indicators, these lines will continue to go up higher. So the ceiling at which Bitcoin can go up before it becomes signaled overbought, is a lot higher, right? And every day it goes up higher. So right now it's at the dotted line's at 136. So if Bitcoin does resume in a bull trend, we can go up to and perhaps beyond 136, right? And this is just on today's price where we're touching the green line. Eventually, over time, this dotted line and this ceiling for which the price can go up and go up to is going to continue higher. Z-score, obviously, you can see that when this signaled over bought, this thing spiked up beyond this red orange, or this red shaded area, right? Over here, 2013, 2 times in 2013 when we had our 2 tops, and also 2017. Right now, we haven't even broken above the shaded area. So, we've basically come down to the levels that we were when Bitcoin corrected in 2017, right? And also, well, maybe not as much as like 2013, but it's this just basically looks like a typical correction. Maybe it corrected a lot more than in previous cycles, but so far there's nothing on these charts that's basically telling us that Bitcoin is very, very overbought and is due for a bear market, right? There's nothing on these charts that we just went over. And so I do think that Bitcoin has a lot of room to run higher to 100,000 and beyond. And also, just to end with everybody's favorite indicator, everyone's favorite chart is the stock to flow, right? Still a lot of upside, right? Last time we overshot this line here in 2017 and 2013. We're not even above the line yet, right? We have so much more room to shoot up, right? So to me, this just looks like another correction. Yeah, we might have people panic selling and pushing the price a lot lower than in previous cycles, because this correction, right? This correction is over 50%. It's a lot worse than we had in 2017, but not 2013 when we plunged to like 80%, right, in the middle of the year. But the fact that buyers are stepping in and pushing, and we're seeing this epic wick right now. This is a huge wick, right? We're pushing above this blue line, which is our long-term moving average. And this is really, in my opinion, the last level of defense, right? Yes, we saw a strong buy support over here at this Fibonacci level, which is also great. But I think for me, I want to see us hold above this blue line, which also coincidentally is the top of the, over here, which is also the top that we had in January, right? And we know that previous resistance tend to act as support after we penetrate and break above, right? When we come down and retest these levels again, they tend to act as strong support. So if we can close above this blue line, if we can close above 40,000, which is our previous peak in January this year, I believe that Bitcoin will have a higher chance of continue up higher and eventually breaking out of this channel and up to 100,000 and beyond, right? But obviously for now, we need to take this on a day-by-day basis, and we need more follow-through, right? We need to see more price action develop to make a more to come to a clear conclusion of where the price may go. For me, I do think that the worst is probably over. I do think that, like, I just went through a bunch of indicators and charts that are signaling that we're more oversold than anything, right? We're very, very oversold right now, and this could be, and we are nowhere near overbought, even when we were at 60,000, right? And we had so much more room to go up, right? Based on all the charts, all the indicators I just went over, all the oscillators, fear and greed index, right? I do think that the bull market is not over, and there's a lot of fear, but if you can, the best time they say is to buy the fear, right? Buy the fear, sell the greed. If you can control your emotions and you can think rationally, right? These are times where it's usually the best time to buy, when there's a lot of fear. When RSI is below 30, right? When everything is collapsing, when the fear and greed index is like 23, right? And these oscillators are all completely oversold, right? Nowhere near overbought, even when we were at our market high, right? I do think that in retrospect, when we look back in a year or two, or even more, 10 years, this would have been one of the best opportunities to buy. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, and I can't tell you what to do. You have to make your own decisions, okay? But I would just say, at the very minimum, just remain calm, relax. Don't be scared. I know a lot of people are scared right now, but these are the moments that make you or break you as a trader, right? I've been trading Bitcoin since 2013. I've been through so many of these cycles where it seems hopeless, but I promise you, like, you're gonna be fine. And these are the moments where you build your character as a trader, right? Traders, anybody can make money in a bull market, but when the market comes down, right, this is where the real traders are born and made. So relax, keep calm. Personally, I am buying this dip, but I don't want to recommend anything, because this is not a financial advice channel. This is just analysis and entertainment. But just relax. It's not as bad as it may seem, right? Things will get better, and as you can see, buyers are stepping in and they're continuing to push the price higher. So just to summarize, I wanted to see us close the day above this 200-day simple moving average, or this blue line. I want to see us close above this blue line, and I want to see follow through above the blue line as we make our way back to this Fibonacci resistance level, right? We failed to hold this as support. We flipped this from support to resistance now, right? So it's going to be tough to break through this, but I do think that eventually we will break through, come up to this channel, and hopefully push up higher to new all-time highs and to $100,000 by the end of this year and beyond. So we'll definitely update you guys as the days move on and see how the price action develops, and we'll continue from there. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, informative, useful, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. I appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.